Alex, welcome to Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. It's great to finally have you on.
I know. I'm so excited. We made it through all of the reschedulings, the Super Bowls, the sick kids. We've made it. We're here.
I know we were super stoked when we first chatted, and then reschedule. But now here we are, third time's charm, right?
Exactly. And like I said, the universe aligns us at the right time. So it's our time.
All right. So one of the first things I like to do is get my guests to basically just give a quick background of themselves, who they are, where they came from, and basically how they got to where they are today before we start diving into the whole meat of the podcast.
Yeah, I love that. So I am a big Simon Sinek fan. Start with why. So I always start with my why. So I believe in creating thriving communities where people feel a sense of belonging and are empowered to create real human connection. So that belief has really spurred my entire growth journey and my entire career. And it really started when I moved to Orlando, Florida for college. I decided, getting the college education was great, but I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone and really dive into business and what is entrepreneurship, and most importantly, how can I leave a positive impact on the world? So that's really where I started forming my skill set and, everything that I'm very passionate about. I started doing public speaking and really just putting my truth out there. And that's when I formed my very first company, which was a community engagement company. It's called My Loop. And once again, it really fed that purpose. It was, how can I create really thriving, sustainable business communities? And how can I teach leaders to bring that to life and really make their members want to stay and be engaged with each other? So that was a really awesome journey. I was with that for about a year and a half. And I came to a point where, I had to make a decision if I wanted to move forward or do something different. And that's when Purpose Pioneers came to be, which is my baby. It's my purpose. It's my passion. And at Purpose Pioneers, our belief there is finding meaning in every single thing you do. Work, life, purchases, relationships, to be fulfilled. We really think that's one of the big truths in life, is how can we find meaning in everything we do, and how can we feel a sense of whole at the end of the day. So we help companies uncover their purpose and align it with every single piece of their business, ultimately systematizing purpose. So no longer do companies have to have their big hurrah and mission, vision, values, and do that once a year. We created a way to systematize purpose and bring it to life in every aspect of the organization. So that's what I currently do. Kind of a little bit about my background and like my skills. Public speaking, I'm very passionate about that. Communication and psychology. So I didn't get a degree in that or anything, but that was really what I was interested in. I feel that psychology is at the core of like everything we do. So I've been involved in a couple of psychology groups, and I'm getting licensed and certified in some methodologies. And yeah.
Cool. That's really neat. I like it. So regarding, you kind of hit over what Purpose Pioneers is.
Yeah.
Can you just dive in a little bit more about, the whole goal of the company and what you guys truly go in? You kind of overviewed it, but if you can get in a little bit more deeper, that'd be really cool. And we can dive in a little bit deeper on some of the things you mentioned.
Yeah, I love that. So we really want to create a world where every organization is purpose-driven. And, being focused, capitalism first has allowed us to innovate and have all these incredible companies. And too often we just get caught up in making decisions based on profit and focusing on all the, products and services and all that stuff that got us to where we're at. But we're now in a world where we're trying to fulfill our highest potential, and we're trying to find meaning in everything we do. So we want to correlate those two concepts and start infusing purpose into an organization's operations. And what that will do for an organization is really three main things. One, it'll focus on creating an incredible culture of meaning and purpose. So employees are going to work with their blood, sweat, and tears. They're going to be in it for the long haul. No more, worrying about my millennial workforce leaving after 6 months or a year. They're going to want to stay because they're connected to the company's purpose and the mission. Increase team morale, increase employee satisfaction and fulfillment. Second is the leaders. So we created this incredible values-based and purpose-driven decision-making process. So no longer do people have to use their subjectivity and their emotions when making decisions in the business. They'll have that sort of an objective truth in the organization about the purpose and the values, and have that as a guide to make decisions. So now we have decisions from the top, from the CEO, all the way down to, the admins or the janitors or the entry level, making consistent, scalable decisions rooted in the company's values and purpose. And third, it's customers. So, I think the stat is about 78% of customers are disengaged, which is insane. And that means, the things that companies are competing on are saturated: cost, functionality, and convenience. We have an abundance of options. So how can now consumers buy things that, one, make them feel something, and even higher, how can I buy something that allows me to further my purpose? So when we do that, we have more loyal customers, we have raving fans, brand advocates, and guess what? All three of those things increase the bottom line.
That's awesome, man. There's so many key nuggets in there for leaders.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to limit this podcast episode.
4 hours later.
4 hours later. So one of the things I like to hit on that I'm kind of taking out what you're saying there is, how can leaders go about systemizing their purpose for their organizations?
Yeah, that's an incredible question. So first, it starts with uncovering and articulating. So there are a lot of, purpose-led companies who really do focus on people and what their mission is, but the key is clearly articulating it. And that's really where we come in. Once again, with communication and public speaking, that has really helped shape how we pull out these words of leaders and really get their thoughts onto a piece of paper, which they can be confident in articulating what their deep-rooted why is. So it starts with, asking a series of really deep questions of, why are these things important? What do we really want to focus on? What's our overarching vision? And grabbing all those words together and creating a really powerful purpose statement, and also uncovering what our core values are. So that's the first step. And then second, we created purpose processes. So we have processes around every aspect of the organization. So recruitment, onboarding, what our Monday meeting experience looks like, how we choose where to do company lunches, where we do retreats. So all of those things, we have to set the intention, and we have to infuse what that deep-rooted why is into the actual physical task of bringing it to life. Because it's just really easy to get focused on, this is just how things are done, or this is, I know, right? I hear that too often, and I'm like, I am sick of that statement. That is old, and that's just a cop-out. We have to explore why we're doing it. So it's a mashup of things, but one, it's just uncovering and articulating and being confident in those statements. And then it's setting the intention and figuring out how we can put that why into all of our operations.
Yeah. And I would assume that you would be trying to focus on a very consistent theme or feel throughout all those different lines of operations, as what I refer to them as,
Yeah, consistency is key, because that allows us to scale. So when we figure out that purpose and those core values, that's it. Like, yes, purpose can evolve. We do talk about that, how through experiences, life-changing events, big moves of a company, an acquisition, a purpose can evolve, but we need to revisit it and solidify it and use that as our truth in all of our decision-making and how we run the company.
The old cliche saying is so true. The only thing consistent is change, right? Or constant is change. So
it's true. And what we teach is just, hey, try this on, and if it works, awesome. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We're not here to push this down anyone's throat or say this is the way and that's it. We actually always make sure we appreciate the leaders that have gotten us to this point of even having a company like this. This wouldn't even really exist 10, 20 years ago. So we're so fortunate that, the leadership styles and the value systems have gotten up to this point, but we're just in a changing time. We have a new value system, and we just have to simply adapt to the change to create a fulfilling world for everybody.
Absolutely. I did a podcast episode myself, episode 35. It was actually 35 lessons from a 35-year-old. And
Oh,
it's
nice.
I won't take all the credit. I stole it from Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income podcast, but because he did the exact same thing. I was like, hey, that's a really great idea.
Hey,
So
it's okay. You're repurposing it. That's
it's all
awesome.
good. But one of the big things I stressed in there was that change is constant, and you have to embrace change because the world won't stop for you, right? And that's kind of
Exactly.
that's kind of what I'm hearing from you is the reason why you're there, and help organizations see that light and move forward. Um,
Yeah.
so I'd like to change gears a little bit here, and I'd like to get a little bit overview of your decision-making process ideology that you mentioned a while ago, and how does that work from your viewpoint?
Yeah. So if you can imagine a street lane on a highway, so there's lines, right, that keep you in the lane. So
Yeah.
think of those lines as your boundaries. And what the boundaries are your core values. So, for example, I value positive energy, I value community, and I value authenticity. So I use those as my filters in which to make decisions, and I use them as boundaries. So if let me think of an example. So if I really respect communities and what they stand for, I'm probably going to make a lot of decisions rooted in supporting them, going to events, maybe resharing them on my Facebook page, or the things that dictate what I like are rooted in my conscious and subconscious beliefs. So we use values as our boundaries in which to make decisions. So there's no more, oh, that's just the way it's done, or there's no more, well, why'd you make that decision? Oh, I don't know. There's none of that unclarity anymore. It's super clear because we have those filters and those boundaries. And then imagine your destination is far off into the distance. That's your purpose. So the purpose is the driving factor. So when we're using our values as our boundaries, we always have to keep in mind, is this helping us reach our purpose? And is this helping us reach our company's purpose? So great example. I see companies come out, with products. And my first instinct this is just because I'm in this company, is I wonder why they made that. And sometimes I find out they just made it because a competitor made it. Now that is not a values-based or purpose-driven decision. They're just doing it because they're looking for others for who they need to be. Now I imagine if they really had a meeting and said, you know what, we want to make a new product. Let's not focus on what the competitors are doing. Let's focus on what are our values and what's our purpose. And I imagine how much more meaningful that product would be if they use their values as boundaries and their purpose as their guide to make a decision.
Well, out of that comes your differentiation strategy too, right?
Yeah,
So
it is. And what's cool is a company's values and purpose is its competitive advantage. Just companies aren't fully seeing that potential yet.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
No, that absolutely makes sense for sure. Uh,
yeah.
so, in talking about that, I'm kind of hearing some answers to the next question already. But what would be some benefits that leaders would gain through using the purpose first approach in your mind?
Oh man, there's so many. All right, let's look at some key ones. So first, let's focus on the employees. Increased engagement, and I want to define what engagement means. Engagement is an emotional connection to something. So that word, when we really know what it means, it's very powerful. So employees are actually excited to come to work on Monday. They're working with their blood, sweat, and tears. They're going above and beyond it's because they feel that sense of purpose and they're doing what's meaningful to them. It's no more of, oh, I'm waiting for 5 p.m. to roll around, or
The Monday
yeah,
daily grind.
exactly. No more of that. You'll
Yeah.
see employees actually staying longer because time is not a factor anymore because they're fulfilled. So we'll see an increase in overall company performance. Because we have that consistent decision-making process, we can now scale this company beyond our wildest dreams because it's super consistent in our values and our purpose, and all of our products and services will reflect that and allow us to scale.
Yeah.
Like we kind of talked about consistency in decision-making. I know as the co-CEO of my company, when we grow this thing and it has 50, 100 people, I would hope that from me at the top to the person all the way at the bottom, we're making the same decisions, because it's not about me. It's not about me as the CEO. It's about the purpose and the vision of this company. So that is that in itself can save so much time and money and really increase efficiencies. I've seen decision making go down to 60 seconds or less because we've figured out how we need to make decisions. And then the customer experience is off the charts. If someone can buy something that helps them further their purpose, they're going to buy from you every single time, which ultimately increases profit.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is, especially for the employees and now the customers aspect, what you're truly doing is basically making that emotional connection to your company
Yes.
and your organization through the whole purpose-driven approach, which leads to everything like you said, increased employee loyalty and customer loyalty, brand loyalty.
Exactly. Yeah. Customer, employee, brand, leadership, loyalty. I mean, we see a lot of times CEOs leaving big companies, and I always like to ponder, like, what really happened there? And if there was a stronger sense of purpose, would they have stayed? But,
Yeah. They say, people don't leave companies, they leave bosses, right? So,
I've never heard that before. That's
oh yeah,
awesome.
yeah. People, employees don't leave companies; they leave bosses. And I think one of the mitigating factors would definitely be having this approach. And why I see it, one of my big things that I always push as a leader is delegation and
Yeah.
empowering those below you. I definitely could see some benefits for this type of approach. Don't you agree? And if you could
Oh, totally.
expand on that a little bit for me.
Yeah. So this is actually really cool that you're talking about this, because we've been pondering this concept of inspiring and empowering.
Yeah.
So, I've been to many talks and I feel inspired, but I wasn't really equipped with the tools to bring it to life. So there was lacking empowerment. And I've also been to, workshops and events where they empower, but I wasn't really inspired enough to bring those tools to life. So at Purpose Pioneers, we found this incredible balance in between inspiring and empowering. So leaders want to do this. Employees want to do this. It's not us, it's them. So purpose is a tremendous sense of empowerment. I think it's empowerment in its purest form. Like when I've been in organizations where employees feel a sense of purpose, they will become the most creative problem solvers I've ever seen, because they're so motivated by meaning. They will figure it out in any way, shape, or form. They go above and beyond. They really take into consideration all aspects of the company. It's not just about them, because they feel that sense of fulfillment. Because they're serving themselves, they're now able to serve others. The list goes on, but the empowerment is really like through the roof when there's a strong sense of purpose in a company.
No, absolutely. And you kind of talked a little bit about it throughout the interview up to now. And, the consistent decision-making throughout an organization, that's another component of delegation. And I kind of like that two aspect approach there, inspiring and empowerment. You can inspire people but if you don't give them the tools and ability to empowerment to do something, well, nothing's going to happen. They're just going to be like, woohoo, super motivated, and then like, oh, where are we going?
Then that's it. And then it's not sustainable. Exactly.
No.
And then also the reverse. I've been to so many workshops where they give me all these tools and I'm like, cool, I don't really care, because there was a lack of I wasn't inspired to want to use them.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, okay, great. Give me a hammer. All right. What's this? You hold it upside down, right? No
exactly.
idea.
We need that beautiful balance in between inspiring and empowering. And then like our vision is we don't want to be serving, like companies for an incredibly long time. And for the reason we want to empower them to be able to do it on their own. Like that, I think, is true leadership too. Because I see a lot of coaches and consultants and, they stick around for a really long time. And I'm like, I wonder if they're really, creating change here, or if they just want to stay on to keep, getting the contract or whatever. But that's just something I've noticed, and who really knows. But I feel like the most successful companies is when they can empower and then walk away, and then they just know what to do after that. Like that is, to me, true empowerment at its finest.
I love it. Yeah. If I was a large corporation and there was a consultant agency sticking around for a couple of years, I'd be wondering.
Exactly. It's like,
are they actually doing anything, or are they just leeching from us, right?
Exactly. So once again, it comes down to intention. What we need to know as humans, like, what is everyone's intention, especially with companies. If they can clearly articulate it, I mean, the world is really their oyster, and they're going to see a lot of things start to align.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So what would you say has been your, the greatest success for this ideology for an organization that you guys helped with?
Yeah, so we are working with a company in Daytona Beach, Florida called All Aboard. And so we've created our own framework. It's called the Purpose First Framework. And we teach that in a variety of different offerings. We do workshops, we do corporate leadership training. And this particular company hired us on to take them through the entire framework. So we're working with them for 6 months, take them through every single piece very intricately, working with their leadership team in a very intimate way, with the goal to repurpose their entire organization to really reflect its deep-rooted why. And I'd say so far that, that experience in itself, working with this organization, has been transformational, life-changing, and we're seeing all of this progress and all of these changes almost immediately. The motivation, the fulfillment, the satisfaction has, increased tenfold. The company now has working values and their narratives, and now they're starting to make decisions rooted in them, and we're starting to see consistency amongst all these different unique perspectives. And it's been really amazing to know that with an intentional and effective framework, one can actually start to see change almost immediately. That's amazing, and that's what we're in business to do. We're not here to say, oh, it's going to take 2 years, 10 years to change. We're saying here, with these tools, you can change right now and start to see a positive impact in your life and your organization.
That's really neat. Yeah, absolutely. I love it when people talk about showing up, making positive changes, and immediately seeing, basically life-changing successes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost moved to tears, like, in our client engagements, and it's really amazing. Like, what's fulfilling about, what I've chosen to do in life is I love helping others unlock what's special about them. And to do it on a grander scale of an organization, it's amazing because they have the budget to push out messages to the world. They have the influence. They have the opportunity to really change the landscape of humanity. So if I can just be a small working element of helping them really uncover what makes them truly transformational, I'm out of here. I'm good to go.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So, we're talking here. It sounds all, flowers and roses and easy to do, but I'm sure there's been no doubt some challenges in trying to implement this approach in some of the organizations. So what have been some of the big two-part question? One is, what have been some of the biggest challenges you've come across in trying to implement this? And two is how you guys have overcome them.
Yeah. So I'd say one of the biggest challenges is when someone is infusing purpose and, these deep-rooted concepts into an organization and kind of repurposing things that they've done for a long time, a lot of defenses can rise. An organization is made up of a lot of individuals. They have their beliefs. Other people have their beliefs. So when things start to change, people start reacting out of fear because, they can't predict what's coming next. And like I said, a lot of defenses raised. So, we were in a client engagement and someone kind of reacted to someone else and someone was caught off guard and they didn't handle it that well. And I saw it ruined one of the girls' days. And I was like, man, like she didn't have to choose to let it ruin her day because it was something that could have easily been brushed off. And here's how we fix that challenge. So we don't just focus on purpose and systematizing purpose. We focus on authentic communication. And this stems from an organizational psychology background, which is studying how people work together in the workplace. So we follow this incredible methodology around self-awareness and choice, and how can we lower our defenses to communicate in the most effective way possible. So we take the first part of our framework, we're like, hey, listen, we can't start talking purpose until we can handle these conversations in an effective and, useful manner, in a way that allows us to embrace vulnerability and not react to things, but more so respond to things. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge, handling those reactions and defenses in a I don't want to say good, but I guess in the most useful way, especially during a facilitation. So that's something that we have to keep top of mind. How do we handle those things as a facilitation is going on? And I think it just stems from really reinforcing those mental ways of thinking that we taught them in the previous sessions.
Yeah, it's always fun when you come up when you're trying to push some kind of new ideology, a new way of doing business to people who are reluctant for change, because
Right.
that's exactly what you're going to come up against. People's defenses get up, backs get up. Like,
Right.
what do you mean? What do you mean? I've been doing this wrong this whole time? And it's kind
Right.
of funny because they don't really no, it's not that you haven't been doing it right. It's just that, this is a new way, a better way of doing things. And
Yeah.
it's so difficult.
No, it totally is. And I mean, I'm not perfect. I still have my, defenses and my reactions, but I've learned to really just check in with myself and say,
Yeah.
Is this useful? Do I really need to be acting in this way? And then I've learned to convert them into responses. And it's cool because I can actually see the physical shift in when someone's reacting and when someone's responding. Reacting, imagine like someone just like, oh, if someone scares you for Halloween and you go, like your hands kind of go up, that's a reaction. But when I've seen responding, people kind of breathe and they kind of go inward and they go, oh, tell me more about that. It's just, you can see the difference. It's pretty neat. It really is cool.
I like it. Reaction versus responding. No,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a pretty cool concept. I try it on every day. But yeah, when we can turn those reactions into responses, it gives us an opportunity to really grow and to embrace deeper human connection.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, yeah. Alex, it's been great having you on, and I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Purpose-driven organizations and leaders, and there's some key takeaways here that for myself and the audience out there that they'll definitely get. I always have one last question for all my guests on the show, and that is, in your words, what makes a great leader?
Oh man, well, that's a beautiful question.
Isn't it?
In my words, what makes a great leader? I'd say a great leader is two things. It's leading with meaning, and it's the go-giver mentality. So how can I create meaning for everybody that I come in contact with? And how can I give as much value as I possibly can?
Yeah, you definitely sound like servant leadership style there, which is something
exactly
I very much embrace, because at the end of the day, it's the people that get the job done on our behalf, and we just have to empower them to get it done for us.
Exactly.
Right?
It's that abundance mindset. It's abundance and knowing that the universe has got my back, and when I can show up in a really servant and positive way, then it will come back to me.
Awesome. Alex, it's been great having you on the Moving Forward Leadership podcast. What I do all the time is basically flip the mic over and allow you to give yourself a shameless plug for 30, 40 seconds. How can people find you? How can they reach out? All that jazz. Feel free.
So we're big on Facebook. My name's Alex Agresta, and my co-founder is Thomas Waterman. So add us on there. We are always open for deep, meaningful conversation, and we are purpose pioneers on all of our social accounts: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then our website as well. We do a weekly Facebook live show called Manifest Monday, where we host a fellow purpose person and just have some awesome conversation like we just did here. So if you're interested in being on our show, reach out to us, hit us up on like any of our socials, or shoot me a Facebook message. Like I said, let's just talk about purpose. I want to hear what you have going on in that awesome brain of yours, and see what we can create together.
Awesome. And for the audience out there, don't go far. Just go to movingforwardleadership.com/42. And all those links are going to be there in the show notes for you. Everything that Alex just mentioned. Alex, again, it was great having you on the show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And maybe I should swing by some Monday and we can have a chat.
Love it. Please
do.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. This has been really awesome. I'm energized. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. For the audience out there, don't go far, because as always, I got my key takeaways with my interview today with Alex. Alex, again, thanks, and take care.
You too.